Okay. We're back. It's a good day today, as you can probably tell from the lights. It's a very sunny, lovely day in the east of England. I'm not sure if it's going to be as nice over in Poland, where the players will be today. I think at the moment they've been sharing some pictures of the city. It looks really, really pretty. I think it's quite good over there so far. It's quite sunny, but I think once we get to the second half, it might be a bit more dreary. That could be something to look out for, but it is, of course, Chelsea versus Legia Warsaw. Now, I think the Polish teams in this competition have done a lot better than I think some people would have expected them to. I think a dark horse for this competition in general is Jagiellonia, who are playing Betis, I believe, in their next game, who obviously Betis are one of the favourites to get to the final, so that's a good game to watch out for. And obviously with the final also being in Poland, they've got extra motivation to do that. Let me just do my checks real quick. Need to pause that. Need to pop out the chat. They've moved it. Oh, there we go. And I've got so many things open, it's overwhelming. Hello. Welcome in. What do I think of Carney's performance against Barca? If I'm being honest, I did not watch the game, so I don't know. I know that he was involved for one of the. I watched some of the highlights of that, and I know he was involved for one of the attempts that Dortmund have. But yeah, I think Barca kind of had a bit too much for them, in all honesty. They're one of the better teams in the thing. Basically the only game that I've watched from that kind of round of the Champions League was the Arsenal game, because I was hate watching. But apart from that, I'm not going to be watching the second leg for that, by the way. I told you, I've got this curse. I've got this really weird curse, and I've mentioned it before, that anytime I hate watch a team, they end up winning. I'm not going to try and pronounce your name, but it's got specific thing. Obviously, I'm a person that's quite big into my geography, and I speak a few different languages. I would be very, very strong in suggesting that your name is spelt or pronounced vastly different to how it's actually spelt. And especially with the KHO at the start, I imagine that's got some kind of weird intonation, which I'm not going to try and butcher, because that would be disrespectful. But yeah, I don't know I don't know where you're from. I would ask, but I'm going to take a guess. Are you possibly, I don't know why, but the KHO is making me think it's like South Africa, somewhere around there. I don't know if that, maybe my, maybe just me being wrong completely there. But yeah, we have a game to talk about. We have lineups to talk about, and we've got the bingo card to go through, which I will do in a second. South African, yeah. Okay, I thought so. In that case, it's probably some, again, pronunciation-wise, it's probably some mixture of like Dutch pronunciation and some well, I don't know what the other language is. I'm not clued up on that, but I know that you've got a lot of Dutch stuff over there. But yeah, would I like a Mega at Chelsea? Probably not. I think that he's one of those players that he fits so well in at Strasbourg. I don't think he's a player that we would kind of bring, and I don't think he's very young. I think we're a team that kind of obviously we're promoting a lot of young players, but I don't think we want to bring in too many young players, especially in a position like striker, where we've already kind of seen how having inexperienced strikers can kind of cost us in games. Do you think the Rodrigo rumours hold any weight? I would hope so. I think that he's a real gem if we're able to get him, because he's a player that obviously has been playing at the highest level for many, many years now, playing in one of the best teams, playing in Champions League football every single year. And the thing is, he's always been played on the wrong side. He's a left winger. He is a left winger, but he's been playing on that right-hand side. Also, we saw how much damage he did to us when we played them as well from that right-hand side. I think he'd be a great option for us. I don't think that's who we'll go for. In truth, I don't think that he's definitely a player that we'd be looking at, I would suggest. I think he's definitely someone that would be on our radar, but I don't think that he's just going to be so expensive. His wages are going to be really, really high as well, which is the main problem. Also, yeah, apologise for the light. I can't stop it. It's very sunny. Yeah, we'll get into this game, because this is what we need to talk about. Yeah. I think that's a lot of those things where, and I said this in my last stream that like I don't particularly listen to a lot of the news until things are 100% official. Like I don't really engage with that much because most of it is just fantastical trying to get a reaction type stuff, and I don't really believe much of it. I think the whole thing with Kunde was, again, Kunde would have been a great acquisition for this specific team, I would suggest, but we couldn't have predicted we'd be in the position where we are now with needing a player that's going to play in that kind of right centre back, right back hybrid role. But yeah, yeah, and again, high salary would never work with us precisely. Let's get into this. If I can get it to work. Whoosh. We have the bingo card first of all. There's a few new things on here. Most of them are the same. Quite simple ones today, I would suggest. We have Akin and Dewsbury Hall, goal or assist. I think he's been playing pretty well in the recent games that he's been used, few and far between, but I think he's been pretty good. I expect him to get some kind of goal contribution today. George goal. This was suggested by one of the guys in the Discord. I usually ask the people in the Discord for suggestions for bingo before the bingo card gets made, so this was one of those. I think this could be George's time to finally get off the mark in a Chelsea shirt and get a goal for us. Clean sheet. We'll talk about goalkeepers and stuff in a second when I do the lineup, because that's an interesting one. I think we can get a clean sheet. Fight breaks out. Now, I think that this atmosphere that we are going to be going into is going to be absolutely nuts. The Polish fans are, to their credit, mental. They are mental. I've seen clips of the Legia kind of atmosphere in general, and yeah, I think that this might spark a few kind of bits of anger from not only just the fans, but possibly from the players on the pitch too. Speaking of which, flares on the pitch, we know they love their flares. There might be flares on the pitch. The chat has gone behind the thing. There we go. Early goal. I think this could be one which we see. I think one of the teams will probably get an early goal. I think both teams will probably be up for it rather. I've got a shimmy app. This is for if Mweka starts or gets an appearance off the bench, which, spoiler alert, he's going in my starting 11. we'll talk about that in a bit. This one, we usually have Caicedo clean, tackle, punished. We have a game of two halves. We usually have an unlikely goal scorer. We usually have player book for descent. We usually have. Now, I've put Moyes' player of the match. I reckon he will start because we don't have anyone else there to play in that position. And if he does start, he's clearly the best player on the pitch, in my opinion, so I think he'll probably get player of the match. We have Maresca ball in full flow, of course, the free space as well. We usually have this. Ref's mistake, we usually have. I've put a Mugu with loads of question marks because I feel like this is a game where he really could come in and actually play some football for us. He hasn't like played basically anything, and with Caicedo obviously playing so many games, I would like to see him get arrested at some point in the second half and Mugu come on. We have a Worldie, which we usually have. I have non-Xeno FIFA Street. This is a really niche one, but I just had a premonition today, and I was like, oh, I can guarantee this is going to happen. If Noni Madueke plays, which I think he will do, I look out for him doing some kind of crazy kind of trick or skill or whatever to beat his man. That's kind of what that's for. Correct prediction, that's for my score prediction, which I'll do at the end of the lineups. Set piece goal, obvious. Mono on vacation. We haven't had any camera problems so far, so that's good. That's for camera problems. Palmer gets another. Now, if Palmer plays, I reckon he gets another goal here or another assist here. I think he's going to continue. Now he's broken that duck, he's going to get start getting into... he's going to start getting into more and kind of, you know, getting back on the score sheet and being more regular as we kind of seen him earlier in the season. I've got another injury. Again, this is another one which I just kind of, I have a fear that we might get another injury in this game. I put Josh in midfield. Now, Chempong is a player that is all but confirmed pretty much to start today, so I think he will start, and depending on who else is around him in the back line, I think that the back line particularly for this game is the most contentious of all of the things that we kind of have to talk about. I think the rest of it is pretty self-explanatory, but depending on where he plays, he might invert into the midfield like we saw him do for the Copenhagen game, and he played really well there as well, I would admit. And then Advantage Chelsea is just for a win. Yeah, I feel there is a worry from me as well that one of our midfielders might get injured. Let us bring this to the front. I'll talk about my predicted lineup now. This is kind of a mixture of a prediction and kind of what I just want. A few of these are things that are already confirmed. One of them is, of course, Jurgensen. We've already had it confirmed by Enzo Maresca that he will be starting today, unless anything drastic happens, like he gets injured in training. So he's 100% starting, which is good. It's kind of sad because that means Sanchez is 100% starting in our next Premier League game. But admittedly, Sanchez is a hard one for me, man, because he's a good goalkeeper. He's such a good shot stopper, but everything else about him is just so volatile. And it's like, oh, it's like you're holding your breath anytime he gets the ball. But yeah, Jurgensen will 100% start. Now, the back line, as I just said, is very contentious. I'm a bit... I'm not sure who will play, but I'm kind of going off of who played in the last game, who played in the last game, but also kind of how did Enzo Maresca set up in the first leg of the Copenhagen game, because it's a very similar situation, and kind of seeing how he mixed around some experience and some youth, but also kind of some first teamers and some non-first teamers. We know, though, that Joshua Champong is starting. Maresca has said that him and Tai, who we'll get to at some point, are starting. I think he would start on the right-hand side just because of the other players I'm going to be putting in this lineup. Now, two players that did not play against Brentford and didn't even come off the bench are going to be our centre-back pairing here, even though I think Colwell's going to play in the next Premier League game as well. I think he'll be doing double duty, and I'm going to be putting Colwell on this right side, which seems a bit weird, but once we get into the rest of it, it makes more sense. Next to Benoit Badiashile. I think these two can form a good partnership. I think they're both good centre-backs in their own right. I think they can hold their own. Obviously, when this moves into the back three that we usually see, these three are going to be in this order, just shifted over. And of course, the last man in this is going to be Cucurella, who, again, I will expect will move into midfield, but we'll leave him here for now. Now... in the midfield, okay, this is hard because we have so many different players here that can play. One of them is Caicedo. He has to play. He's the only player that can play here. If we see a Mugu in this role, I'll be very surprised. We definitely could see him there. We could even see Samuel Raksaki, who I've seen is on the squad list. He has travelled with the squad, I believe, so he could go in there. I would love to see him play, but I think that would be a step too far considering how important these stages of the competition are. However, I think there will be rotation in the fact that Kiernan Dewsbury Hall comes in. He's always been our kind of our 10 or our 8 in this role. So I think he'll definitely play. I've put him on the wrong side. I don't know why I put him there. I'm so used to him playing on this right side, but I think he will play on the left today because, and this might be a bit too kind of unrotated, but I'm going to be putting Palmer in. I think Palmer is another player that, again, he's come back from injury recently. He needs to get some minutes. He didn't play very much in the last game, and I think that he'll get some kind of extended period today before being subbed off for probably Nkunku, someone like that. I think Palmer will start, so we kind of see the midfield is very attacking, which we'll correct in a second. The front three is interesting to me, and I think this is going to be very exciting if it does happen. I don't think it will, but we know, for example, George is starting. He could start on either the left or the right. We've seen that in the past. I'd prefer for him to start on the left. We know he's starting because Enzo's confirmed that he's going to start. The right side, I think I would give to Madueke because, again, he didn't play large amount of minutes for the Brentford game. And to get him getting involved more would be nice. And then for the striker, everyone is going to be screaming that Jackson starts here. I don't want him to, which is weird because I am the biggest Jackson lover. I want Shim to play. Because, and this is the precedent I want to set, I think we have seen enough of Christopher Nkunku playing as our rotational striker that I don't want to see it anymore. And I think that playing Jackson here means that he's less likely to play in the Premier League game, and then we probably see Nkunku again, and I don't want to see that. And I really want Shim to be promoted as this rotational option until Guiu is back. Again, I think this is largely, what's the word? Fantastical, I would say. I don't think this is going to happen. I think this is what I want to happen. I think this is a really, really dangerous front three. But yeah, Jackson is more likely here. I would not play Jackson here personally. I would play Mweka. I would play anyone that's not called Christopher Nkunku in this role, if I'm being quite honest. We might even see someone like Pedro Neto come in here and we can play like that false 9 thing that we've been playing, because again, Neto didn't play very much in the Brentford game as well. I think he came off the bench as well. This is kind of what I would see. It is half past. I don't know when the lineups are going to be released. I'm going to quickly check to see if they have been or not. I don't think they will. I think they'll probably be out in another 15 minutes. But let me quickly go on to the Chelsea Twitter just in case. And we can take a gander. I do have some other things to talk about their team as well. Okay, they're just doing like promotional things, so it's not yet. But yeah, I do have some other things I wanted to talk about this game, simply because there's some notable players and some notable things about Warsaw I'd like to say. I think that this is going to be a tougher game than I think that we kind of expecting. Everyone sees like, oh, it's a Polish side. They're just going to kind of lie down and let us roll over them. I will say, firstly, again, as I mentioned before, because it's a home game for them, the atmosphere is going to be mental. A lot of our players are inexperienced. They've never played in atmospheres that loud and that raucous before. That could be kind of worrying in case they get a bit nervous and they don't play the way that they need to. Looking specifically at players like Moeka, like George, like Chempong. Less so a Chempong. I feel like out of these three, he is the most kind of what's the word? Calm and collected out of the three. I think he'd probably be okay. And in terms of their lineup, now I'm not going to be predicting players for their lineup because I don't know their entire squad, but I will say they largely play a 4-3-3. We will expect them to kind of move into a 4-5-1, I would suggest. I think they'll probably sit back, defend as hard as they can against a larger side that we are, a more what's the word? Just the bigger team in the fixture, as it will. I think they'll sit back, absorb pressure, and then try and break on us with the kind of home crowd roaring them on from behind. I think that'll be the way they'll try and get their goals. Now, I do have some notable players that I'll talk about. One that you will 100% know this name, Ruben Vinagre, who was ex-Wolves and Everton, I believe. I think he played for both of those. We've got Maxi Oladelli, who is a Manchester United academy player, I believe. He's under 21 player for them. We have the guy who's on the thumbnail today, who is the guy who's on the thumbnail, who's Luquinhas. Sorry, someone's just talking about the stream. The stream should be working. I don't think it's frozen or anything. Might just be your PC. I apologize. It seems to be okay. But I'll continue anyway. And Luquinhas, obviously, he's on the thumbnail. He's the top goal scorer in the conference for them. He's got 4 goals, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. So he could be one to watch out for. Their top goal scorer, though, which is kind of unfortunate for them, who's also their captain, is another player you've probably heard of. He played for Leicester, I believe, in the Prem. I know he's an ex-Prem guy. Bartosz Kaputska, who is injured, unfortunately. And again, he's their captain, so big loss for them. He's a central attacking mid, I believe. And that basically leaves Mark Gual, who's their centre forward, as that kind of final threat in their team, who is their second highest goal scorer in the squad, I believe. Now, again, we've already talked about our lineup, but we're, of course, without Mark Guiu, who should be coming back soon. We got some good news about that. Apparently, he will be able to make some appearances at the end of the season, which is nice. Mudryk, of course, is suspended. Kellyman's out for the entirety of the rest of the season. Fofana's been ruled out for the rest of the season. But the best news out of our injuries, I would suggest, Romeo Lavia has been kind of given a... is Gual injured as well? Oh, man, I didn't see that. The only player I saw that was injured was Kaputska, but if Gual's injured as well, that spells quite big danger for them. Hopefully he's hopefully that sounds horrible saying hopefully he is injured, but no, hopefully for our chances he's not available. But yeah, I think he will be. But yeah, as I was saying, the good news is that Lavia has been kind of given a 2-week time frame for he's probably going to be able to recover from his injury. He'll be able to come back into the team, which is massive for us in the final pushes of the Premier Leagues. I think he's such an important player for us. Also, my watch just buzzed. People liking stuff on Twitter. But yeah, that is my kind of thoughts on that. I said, hopefully Fofana can come back stronger. Hopefully Lavia can help us towards the end of the season. I think, as I said, we've got some really tough games at the end of the season. A lot of the players, the teams that we're playing are really, they're very high level, or not even high level, but they're just the teams that are hard to beat in a way. Obviously, we've got Everton, which I think is going to be a really tough fixture. I think we've got Forest as well on the final day, very tough fixture. I saw someone say Maresca using beard dye. That's the thing. He does. I don't think that is. I think it's just because he's growing out longer, right? Because he's kind of he's kind of we've seen it from when he was at Leicester, and actually from the start of the season when we had when we had the announcement of Enzo Maresca, he had that darkness to his beard. I hope that when I grow old and I have my grey beard, it does that as well. But I think with the gingerness that I have, I don't think it's gonna do that. I'm gonna be very grey. I'm gonna have to shave it all off. Let me again. I'm gonna quickly check if the lineups are out. I don't think they will be. There's a couple more minutes probably. Um, but yeah, have they actually? I should talk about the rest of those fixtures actually. Let me see what the fixtures are. I think we could actually talk about the fixtures for this competition as well, because we've actually got a really good bracket, I believe. We've got like the good side of the bracket for this competition. I know that the other side that we are facing are obviously, as I said, the game which I mentioned earlier, which is playing out tonight. There's two games all four of games are playing out tonight, but the two that we're kind of looking out for are the Betis Jagiellonia match, which again I think is really an interesting one, because everyone expects Betis to kind of just roll through them. I think that that's a bit more of a closer game. A bit more of a closer game than a lot of people suggest. There's obviously Fiorentina is in that side of the bracket too, who of course are one of the favourites to make the final. I'm not too sure about their opponents, but I think I'm pretty sure they're the kind of the underdogs, the dark horses, as it were, of the competition, because they're from Slovenia. I think they're a Slovenian team. Which is incredible in its own for a Slovenian team to get into the quarterfinals of a European competition. So hats off to them. I think they've also got the second highest goal scorer as well. They've got someone, I can't remember who his name is, but someone is on 6 goals with Mark Guiu. I remember seeing that. Then of course on our game, which is the early kickoff, we have Legia versus Chelsea, and then we have Rapid Vienna versus Djurgården. I believe that's a Norwegian side. I probably butchered that pronunciation. Which again, that's on our side of the bracket, and either of those teams I think we'll roll over pretty obviously. If we are going to be going against a team out of the other four that I mentioned, genuinely, I would hope the Slovenian team gets through. I would suggest that I'm more worried about Betis as well. As Archer has just said, I'm actually more worried about Betis than I would be Fiorentina. Even though I believe Fiorentina are one of the only teams I've ever won this competition. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like they are. I think it's Fiorentina, Olympiacos, and West Ham, right? I think they're the ones that have won it. Let me check that just in case. My brain's not very good. Conference League. I can't find the stat, but I think they are. They made 2 finals and lost both. Well, who is it then? It's Olympiacos, West Ham. Who's the other team? Oh, that's gonna bug me. I'm gonna find it out now. Hang on. Let me find that out before it really annoys me. Conference League winners. It is Roma, of course. Roma, a different Italian team. I knew it was an Italian team. But yeah. God, one of these days, my ADHD brain will allow me to remember things that I need to remember, rather than things that are utterly unimportant. But yeah, my heart can't take an Anthony hat trick into mogging us. I doubt that will happen. The one thing I think that we have a kind of solace in is the fact that if we do play Betis and they have Anthony, we've seen how bad Anthony is against Premier League defences. So there we go. Oh yeah, of course. Jose won the Roma one, of course. He's now going through custody battles and things, going through legal problems at Fenerbahce. But yeah, that I think that honestly, this is something we haven't spoken about on this channel, because I don't always talk about former managers and stuff. But like Jose in the Turkish league is an absolute match made in heaven. Villa. I don't think Villa, because Villa famously, who did Villa lose to? I know Villa. I'm pretty sure Villa lost to someone in the final. I'll find that out. I'll find out who they lost to. Was it Olympiacos? Did they lose to Olympiacos? Yeah, they did. They lost in the semi-final to Olympiacos, actually. So there we go. We've got again. Yeah, I got distracted. We should talk about the fixtures that we are coming up on. Because I said we've got quite a few difficult ones. Obviously we've got Ipswich next, which I think we should roll over. That's the Liam Delap derby, as I like to call it, because he's likely coming over to Chelsea next season. Fulham, I think we should probably roll over. Everton will be difficult. Then we've got Liverpool, Newcastle, United, and Forest in a row before the Club World Cup. The lineup is now out because it is 40 past, thank goodness. And we can see What is there? Let me switch over to this screen real quick so I can get it up. And then we can... I've got so many tabs open. I don't know why I've got so many tabs open today, but it's really, really annoying. Is the lineup out? Have they put it up and then deleted it? They might have put it up and then deleted it. Because it's not showing on my end. Am I being scammed? Hello? Am I being scammed? I might be being scammed. Oh, sofa score has probably been put on. The actual, I would say that the Chelsea Twitter account hasn't put it out yet. So like, there might be. Come on, man, put it out. Where's the lineup? I'm refreshing the page over and over, and it's not coming out. I always like to put the actual Chelsea kind of graphic from the computer on here. It should be out soon. I'll check the actual lineup on the app, and then we'll talk about it for a little bit. But I'll get the actual graphic once they put that out. Confirmed Chelsea lineup is. Could I actually look at it in? Okay, so we have Jurgensen. That's one. Chempong, yeah, we knew who would start. Tosin and Badiashile, so no Colwill, which is interesting, which means 100% Colwill starting the next game. We have Gusto and James, so Gusto would be playing right. Yeah, this is something which I meant to mention, I completely forgot to mention, is that maybe Josh plays on the left-hand side. He's probably playing on the left here, I would suggest. Although he is on the right side of the lineup, so that's interesting. We have Gusto and James. James is obviously playing in midfield. Dewsbury Hall, Sancho, Palmer, Georgian, and Kunku. Oh. Why? We can't escape this. We can't escape this. We can't escape this man. I don't want him to play for our team anymore. Gusto probably on the left if we were to put it out. Let's do this. Need to go to this tab and then whoosh. Right, so let's adjust this. So no Cuckoo. We have Gusto probably playing at left back, I would suggest. Chempong here, we have Badiashile, no Colwill, and this is Tosin instead. Do I have Tosin in my graphic? I don't know where I've put him. Oh, there he is. I found him. We have Tosin as well in the centre back role. And then we have Palmer, Georgian, and Kunku with Sancho. Okay, so George, oh man, this is stress. Sancho comes in. Where's Nkunku? I literally do not think I have Nkunku anymore because I was so sick of him. I took him out of my team. But let me just get the. If it's Sancho and George, I think Sancho will play on the right hand side. Maybe that's something I would like to suggest. I don't want to see George on the right hand side, even though he can play there. So Sancho, Palmer, KDH, and James. Oh, so no Caicedo. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I didn't actually see that the first time I looked at it. So we have this, and then we've got Nkunku. I don't know where I've put Nkunku. Oh, there he is. Big Nkunku. There we are. So that should be the lineup, I believe, unless I'm mistaken. Let's go. Jurgensen, Achempong, Tosin, Badiashile, Gusto, James, Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, Sancho, Palmer, George, and Nkunku. The way that the lineup is written very much suggests that this is Palmer playing as a central player with James and Kiernan playing here. Just because that's the way the lineup kind of goes, and obviously right to left. Sancho would play with Palmer next to him and then George, and then Nkunku up top. However, I'm not sure if that's going to figure out this way because we've got Gusto here, right? So Gusto 100% is going to invert into the midfield at some point. I would suggest that means that Kiernan would go up high, Palmer would stay on this right side, obviously we've got 2 left footers here, so Palmer can play inside, which is good for him, and Kiernan can play on his stronger foot and kind of whip the ball in. We have James on the right side with Gusto in this inverted left position, Badiashile out wide, Tosin playing that central centre back role that we kind of see him playing, and then Josh playing as the third centre back. That seems more likely for me, that we kind of see that. We could see this as a... I was going to say, we could see this as a bit of a weird diamond, but with Gusto on this right side, I don't think that he'd be the one that goes into this position very much. So I don't think that we kind of see the diamond here. This is probably going to be more of a box. Yeah, obviously the other implication is that maybe Josh plays on the left and he comes inside. We don't know from the actual lineup, because the people that do the lineups aren't the tacticians, so that might be a case of what happens there. But yeah, it's sad that Gyu isn't starting. It's really sad for me. Like I wouldn't be mad if Gyu was injured, if he wasn't doing so well in this Conference League, because like he could have 100% got top goal scorer in this competition if we just kept playing him, which is really unfortunate. Could be Gusto right back, Josh right centre back. It definitely could be. But that would put Badiashile as a left back, and I just don't think that that's going to happen. That's a bit of a stretch too far to play him there. Like you can, like we saw it last season of Colwill playing as a left back. We don't want to see that again. Yeah, I mean, Nkunku is one which I don't want to see playing. I'm very surprised that he is playing, considering how he got hooked at half time. I thought that I was very happy in the fact that he got hooked at halftime, thinking that maybe Enzo Maresca might have seen like, oh, this is a bit too much now. We need to kind of get this sorted out. Maybe he doesn't play as the actual 9. Maybe we get that kind of dual 10 or like dual 10 thing that we see with Palmer going up a little bit higher. Maybe we see that, which might be a bit better. Him as a solo box presence though is kind of worrying, and we've kind of got to rely on our wingers to kind of get that. Could be a last chance thing, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I think so. If I haven't seen actually I should check that. What's the bench looking like? What is the bench looking like? I didn't actually look at the bench, because one thing I will say is that if we're getting substitutions in the striker role, I don't want it to be Jackson coming off the bench. I really don't, unless we are absolutely losing the game and need to get back into the game. Substitutes, we have Sanchez, Colwill, Chalabar, Kukureya, Moises, Amugu, Raksaki, Enzo, Neto, Madueke, Jackson, and Mweka. If Mweka is on the bench, I think he should come off the bench. I really do. I really think Mweka should come off the bench instead. I think Raksaki is definitely another one that could get off the bench. Same with Amugu. I don't want Caicedo playing today if we can avoid it. Yeah, and everyone else is pretty much defensive substitutions. Neto is one of those players where I don't mind if Neto comes off the bench, because he's got so much energy. You could probably play in 2 games in a row. But yeah, good to see Samuel back on the bench. Very, very good, because he played in that one game versus Astana. I made a video about him playing really well in that midfield role, and then he just never played there again. It's very bizarre. I think he's probably been what's the word? Kind of put into a more prominent role in the youth team. I would suggest. If you feel with Palmer and Jackson, they just need to get over this weird dry spell. Yeah, I do think that. I think, well, we're playing Ipswich next, right? Which is a real confidence booster. I think that despite how good Ipswich played against us last time, I don't think that the blind squirrel will be right twice a day in that regard. To use an old adage, I think that we'll probably roll them over pretty easily, and Jackson and Palmer both being fit for that fixture is very, very important. I think Jackson will definitely feast on them. He should have got more minutes in the Lavia absence. Oh, I've just seen a comment there, and this might be a controversial opinion. I'd rather take Delap for 30 million than Osimhen for 52. I've made my kind of stand with Osimhen very, very much in the past. In the fact that I think that he is largely quite overrated. I still think he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but like at the time when he was being touted as like 110 million pound striker, I was like, that is rather ludicrous. And I think that he's got a lot of the same kind of faults that Jackson has, where he needs he's a player that needs a lot of chances to start banging them in. Even though he's quite clinical with his finishing, he's not a player that's going to get, like, if you give him one chance in a game, he might not score it. The reason, and of course, like there's four, right? There's four that we're going to be linked to. There's Sesko, there's Delap, there's Osimhen, and then there's that other guy. What's his name? Ekatike, I think his name is. He's another one of the ones out in the Bundesliga. I don't trust Bundesliga strikers. We've had Nkunku, we've had Werner. I don't want any more Bundesliga strikers, please. So that's those two off the table. I've said my piece on Osimhen. I think Delap is a player that not only suits us very well and has also played under Enzo Maresca before. Don't forget that. That's very important. I think he suits us very well. He pushes Jackson for that role. Obviously, he's much younger, so he kind of has more potential for him. He's the cheapest option out of the bunch, and he's the only one with Prem experience. And yeah, AFCON as well. Losing Jackson to AFCON again is one of those issues that we've just had to deal with. But we could have that. We could have that with Delap where he could actually play through that instead. But proper Brexit striker. No. Yeah, that's the thing, and this is the thing, right? I really like when I talk about potential signings and stuff. I really like to look at things with the whole context, and like I suggest that Delap has got what 11 goals, I think it is, in all comps at this point. Hang on, let me see what it is. Liam Delap. Let's get his stats up. He has 12 goals in 30 matches. Or 31 matches if you include the EFL Cup game he played. 12 goals, 2 assists for Ipswich is crazy. Like, Ipswich are not a good team. They're just not a good team. They're one of the worst teams in the league. And to get 12 goals, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's more than Jackson. I think Jackson's got less than that. Maybe he's got a few more in different competitions. I don't know. Let's check. Yeah, that's more than two more than Jackson. He's got 2 more goals than Jackson. Obviously, Jackson's got more assists, which puts him above in goal contributions. And obviously, Jackson's been injured as well, don't forget. But for him to be getting that kind of return for a team like Ipswich is genuinely insane. I think he's a player that, like Jackson as well, can kind of make goals out of nothing. He's a player that can kind of do it himself and doesn't rely on needing good service, which for a team like Chelsea, where we genuinely don't have good service into our forwards at times, that could be a very good thing. The main one, I always said, my main striker that I want to get is Gyökeres. I would love to get Gyökeres. I think he's, again, another one of those ones that just makes things happen out of nowhere. I think he's an absolute lethal finisher, which is great. Plays in a league, in the Portuguese league, that is very, very intense, similarly to the Prem. So even though he hasn't got Prem experience, he's kind of used to that rough and tumble. I'd love him, but again, he's going to be really expensive. Why not buy both and then play Jackson on the left? I think... for a few reasons. One, because you want to have that rotational option, and you don't want to get both of them. Like, if you play both of them and one of them gets injured, then it's like, that's kind of annoying. 2, because we are very, very obviously going to be buying a left winger in the summer. I think that's been quite widely reported. We're going to be going in for a big left winger. And also just because I don't think that suits Jackson as much as people kind of suggest it will. He does like to drift to the left, but if you watch him and how he's kind of played this season, he's very much more a play as a central player and drop deep, get the ball and then spin it to the right. That's the way he usually plays. And I think that suited him really well, because again, the thing which is best about Jackson is because he's a player that facilitates other players. It's like, I don't know how to explain this in a simpler term, but like having him in the team just makes everyone else get a +1. Whereas, like, you see with Nkunku, for example, like, and I complained about this in the Discord. I was talking about this in the Discord, but we saw from the Brentford game, there was multiple times where people were saying, oh, Sanchez's distribution is so bad. If you actually look at the passes, he's trying to play it into where Jackson would be, and Nkunku just wasn't dropping to get the ball. And I genuinely felt quite bad for Sanchez in that game. I think he played pretty well, but it was just Nkunku's absolute laziness, just refusing to drop deep and actually facilitate play, which Jackson does every single time he's on the ball. Which immediately, when we see him come on the pitch, within 30 seconds, he gets up the pitch and nearly gets a goal. So there we go. But yeah, I think that Jackson could play on the left, but I think that would be wasting his kind of playmaking abilities, as it were. Because I think that he's actually much better with his back to goal than he is with his front to goal, which is weird considering he's a striker. But yeah. Thank you guys for hanging out, though. I will be ending this here because we've seen the lineups and stuff. Again, apologize for there being kind of sporadic uploads and stuff. I will be getting onto a more kind of consistent upload schedule. As I said before, I wanted to kind of go back into doing video content for pre-match and post-match stuff, because it's just, again, doing the streams. I love doing the streams. I love talking to you guys. I love sitting here and talking about the lineups and stuff. But for the channel's kind of lifespan, it is killing the channel really badly. So I'll still do these from time to time if I don't have time to do the more in-depth things. And obviously, as I said before, my other half has been through a major surgery in the last few days. They are now back home, so there's that. But obviously, with it being so soon, I kind of didn't have the time. But yeah, I'll probably be transitioning more into video content soon. So even though there'll be a few streams that are kind of mixed in between, that'll be where we're going for the majority of the direction. I would suggest that I would like to keep doing Feeling Blue as live streams. I would suggest that's kind of what I want to do. I'll probably do like pre-match line, lead-in kind of stuff. I'll do tactical breakdowns as my post-match stuff, which again, I'll do a tactical breakdown for this game because I think this is going to be an interesting one, especially with the weird rotations that we've got with James in the middle, and stuff like that. But we'll see those two things normally more regularly, hopefully, and then again, maybe Feeling Blue as the live stream instead, which we'll do after this match. So yeah, come through after the match. I'll be streaming again. We can talk about this game and who's done well, who's done badly, and things like that. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out as ever. As I always say, keep the blue flag flying high.